Hockey moms, even mama grizzlies. But have you heard about mommy patriots? They're out there, and they may have a big impact, a very important one, at the voting booth come 2012. Christina Bellantoni is Associate Politics Editor at Roll Call, and she wrote this fantastic story about the great awakening of mommy patriots. So, Christina, who are they?
Well, I set out on this journey for More magazine to sort of explore not just who they are. These are women all across the country that are showing up at Tea Party rallies and are voting in many cases for the first time, but also about what's driving them, to sort of identify what were the passions that were getting them to show up for the first time, getting them to hold signs and to give money to political candidates for the first time.
Are they mini Sarah Palins?
In some cases they are. I mean, many of them have pretty strong praise for Sarah Palin, but not just Palin. Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann, who is obviously looking at running for president in 2012, really inspired many of them to get involved in ways they hadn't before. You know, I sort of set the piece, began in Minnesota, a group of women in St. Cloud, Minnesota, who had all been inspired by Bachmann to come to Washington to rally against the health care bill, and really to explore what are they doing now, where are they taking that energy, and will they really be influential, particularly in the presidential race in 2012.
So what are they doing?
Well, in many cases, it's writing letters to the editor, it's showing up and holding their members of Congress accountable. I actually just got an email from one of the women in the piece this morning who was talking about, you know, she's very proud that she feels like she was responsible for Congressman Oberstar getting unseated in Minnesota, because she did a lot of work there, and Chip Kravac, I believe, is the congressman now, who unseated him in the fall, and she feels like she had a real influence in that because she went out and talked to voters and said, here are conservative principles we want our member of Congress to uphold, and this is why you should vote for that person.
So where do you think their momentum comes from? We talk about always these different groups that are going to really matter come election time, but why do you think this group is really going to matter come 2012?
One thing that's interesting about this group is they're starting to feel, it was really, I used the word awakening often in the piece, but it was a feeling where they felt a little silenced by the election of Barack Obama because he was so popular initially, and so many, particularly of their children or relatives, would be talking about him at the dinner table, and they felt like they couldn't say anything, even though they wanted to be supportive of their family. They couldn't really speak out about their conservative ideals. But through technology, Twitter, through blogs, the mommy patriots phrase actually comes from the blog As a Mom, where many of these moms first started getting involved and realizing, and I kept hearing this again and again, they didn't feel alone. Or Sarah Palin, they felt she had liberated them to speak about their conservative views for the first time, and so that feeling of connectedness really got them to actually take action.
What candidate do you think, just given the field right now, you mentioned that they mostly vote Republican, what candidate right now do you think the mommy patriots would really go for? Would they go for somebody like Donald Trump?
That's unclear. I did a lot of the reporting for the piece before he was a clear candidate. I mean, he does have a lot of Democratic tendencies, so I don't necessarily think they're going to be into that. But one thing that they did really stress when I talked to them out in their homes, in Minnesota, Delaware, all over the country, was that they felt like they wanted somebody with very conservative principles, but also somebody that was not a Washington insider. They preferred people like New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, feeling like he was really somebody that represented real people and not necessarily, Speaker of the House John Boehner, for example. They support him, but they wouldn't necessarily want to see him become a national candidate.
It's an interesting group and one we're going to watch. Again, the great awakening of the mommy patriots in More magazine. It was a great article, Christina. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jenna.
Well,